Everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey everyone, Cantonese Cat here. Welcome to Saturday. Hope you're having a good weekend so far. I want to talk about Microstrategy and Coinbase. Before I talk about that, I want to talk about Bitcoin because if anything, Microstrategy and Coinbase are extremely sensitive to the price action of Bitcoin, unlike miners. Miners have basically been significantly lagging behind pre-halving, and now that we're post-halving based on the behavior that we're seeing from past cycle, there's a good chance that miners might be more sensitive to the bullish moves of Bitcoin and maybe less sensitive to the bearish move of Bitcoin because the miners have just been correcting and just been doing its own thing sideways for quite some time. And they are starting to maybe perhaps waking up a little bit. So we'll see what happens. There is a possibility that Bitcoin, and this is going to be a little bit more annoying. I want to talk about Bitcoin. I'm going to talk about it in a probability sense, and this is going to sound very annoying to you. If I have to divide how much I think Bitcoin is going to go up, go sideways, and go down over the next, 1 to 2 months, I'm going to basically tell you what I think the probability is. I think we have corrected sideways enough that it doesn't have to go down any further. And, but I want to kind of entertain the possibilities here, kind of show you some of the indicators I'm showing here. First thing first, I think we may have a 30% chance of just going up from here. I think that's a non-zero chance. I think it's about a third of a chance I think we're going up on here. I think about 30% chance we might go down further to maybe around 50 to 50K, to a 52K range, somewhere around there. There is about 30% chance I think we're going down there. There is also about a 40% chance, which is going to be where I think it may be more likely to happen. There is about a 40% chance where price could potentially just end up going sideways a little bit longer for another 4 to 6 to 8 weeks before making any major move one way or another. That's what I think. And I can, kind of tell you as to why I think that. I think there is probably less than 5% chance that Bitcoin cycle has topped. And I've talked about, Bitcoin in terms of where I think it is, in terms of what the indicators I use, whether or not it's topped or not. I've shown you a video last week. So if you want to look at my rationales in terms of why I don't think Bitcoin has topped yet, please go feel free to take a look. I also made a couple of posts on X on my Crypto Canton Cat handle. If you follow me on X, I have a lot more presence over there actually. So I've been making a few posts to kind of suggest that I don't think Bitcoin has topped yet. I think it's not a non-zero chance, but I just think that it's not likely at this point. So you're telling me, great. So you're telling me a third of the chance is going to go up, third of the chance is going to go sideways, third of the chance is going to go down. What are you good for? That's a very good question. What am I good for? Why are you listening? I don't know. It's completely up to you. But I just want to show you why I think that. And I want you to be prepared for every single scenario psychologically. Because to me, I feel that over the next 12 to 18 months, most likely we're going up. Most likely we're going up a lot higher based on what I'm seeing. But if you ask me what's going to happen over the next, 4 to 6 to 8 weeks, I really don't know. I'm going to show you in terms of what I think, and I honestly don't really care, but I'm going to show you what I think anyway. I myself would like to ride the bull market for the majority of the bullish cycle duration. I think we're probably around maybe like 40% done with the bull market. In terms of timing wise, I think we still get some legs to go, maybe even 50% done timing wise, if you count from the all-time low over at November 2022. But I still think we got ways to kind of go here. And some of the other indicators, I think it's better to kind of move into the monthly chart here. The question is, we did have a correction over here in April, but the question is that enough? Can I see a scenario where this could be a back test of some things over here, and we might have already kind of found a little bit of a bottom, and that allows us to potentially have that 30% chance just keep going up higher? The answer is yes. If you look at the Bollinger Band, very clear that you have an overextension of the upper Bollinger Band of price back in March. Like, this is just way too far, way too fast. And it could keep going, but if it ends up keep going, you might end up exhausting the bull market, and you might end up having the bull market just having prematurely end, right? So I actually don't want that. I actually want some corrections on the side over here, and that's basically what happened over the last cycle. All these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 candles closing above the upper Bollinger Band over here. I actually want a little bit of cool down. I actually want the price to kind of get back inside, and I would love it if price is going to be able to close underneath the Bollinger Band over here, which is going to mean that it might potentially close the month of April below 64,000. 28 or 32 dollars, give or take, somewhere around there, but 64K would be give or take. If it closes below that, I actually think it's completely healthy and actually would welcome it because of how impulsive this has been. Even the close underneath right there, the Bollinger Band is going to keep expanding anyway, just because of what's happening over the last few months. The Bollinger Band is going to keep expanding anyway, allowing price to go up higher. Look at how nice the Bollinger Band expansion has been. The Bollinger Band also hasn't really expanded all the way down to the floor either in terms of the lower Bollinger Band. So I still think that we might be like right around here of this cycle. I think on the cycle before that, I think we might be still maybe right around here or here, as opposed to from the cycle before last cycle. So I still think that we have ways to go. This is not by any means. I don't think we're done yet. But I would love it to kind of close sideways here for the month, a little bit below 64K, cool down a little bit before bullish band expansion, before bullish continuation. Can it ends up having another additional candle that goes sideways to form a little bit longer bull flag over here? Sure, that would also be healthy. I mean, I wouldn't mind if it closed inside for 2 months in a row. And there's still not going to be really any sign for exhaustion just because how bullish this has been and how up-pointing the 20-month moving average is really being. So that's kind of my preferred scenarios for it to kind of go sideways for another month or so. But do I think that it's already met the correction standard or the criteria for correction before it pushes up higher? I think it's fine. If it goes up from here, I wouldn't be surprised by it at all. But I do like the idea of it kind of going sideways here a little bit. If you look at the super itchy cloud, you can tell that price had back tested the super itchy cloud Tenkan line over here around 59.7K or so, and it found support twice. It had a double bounce over here at the Tenkan. Technically, if you believe that the super itchy Tenkan is going to serve as support to push price up higher, that's exactly what it's doing, right? Is there a possibility for it to go back test down further to the Kijun over here around 52K? There's certainly an entirely possible scenario where just kind of maybe spend the end of the month or next month to just back test the 52K. There's always that possibility. Would I count on that? No, not necessarily. It found some pretty decent support here on the super itchy cloud. On the previous cycle, once things get going, you're really talking about the Tenkan and Kijun just kind of fuse together and just kind of keep pushing price up higher, right? But before that, when price gets a little bit further away from the super itchy cloud Tenkan, it tends to spend a couple of months kind of sideways going down to kind of get closer to the super itchy Tenkan over here, which is exactly what it did, right? And then on the previous cycle before that, you can see whenever things just get a little bit too above the Tenkan on the blue line over here, price went sideways and even go down wick underneath of it to kind of back tested it, right? Same thing here, price just went way up. Next month, wick down, back tested the Tenkan, found support going up. The month after that, up. Month after that, back tested, right? Found support and then bounced up, right? So I would not be against the idea for price to just kind of go sideways for the rest of the month, close the candle right where it is, and just kind of let things just kind of hang before going up further, right? I would not be against it at all. Now, if you look at not the super itchy cloud, which takes into consideration of volume and super trend, if you look at the Ichimoku cloud, you can see how far things have extended about the regular Ichimoku cloud Tenkan. Generally, when things are a little bit too overextended from the Ichimoku cloud Tenkan, it's still a little bit elevated risk in terms of it, back test it down, or at least get close to it down a little bit, perhaps to around 52K, and try and find some support down here. There is always that risk for it to do that whenever prices get way above the Tenkan. Just like over here, on the last cycle, when price got way above the Tenkan over here, it did end up getting a little bit closer down. Now, the cloud was right here. It ended up just kind of back testing the cloud over here and pass and keep going up higher, right? So it doesn't have to go all the way down. I think it's good that if it's go all the way up like this, it's good to kind of meet it halfway and just kind of get a little bit closer to it, kind of like what it did over here before its bullish continuation. Can spend another month, sideways. I can also see that. Is that necessarily going to end up making the Tenkan catch up? Not necessarily, because the way that the Tenkan is calculated, and I don't talk about this much, the way that Tenkan is calculated is based on this. You have basically 9 different candles that it takes into account for the Tenkan, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? And you take the period high. For this period high is going to be, around this candle over here, which is going to be around 74,000. And you use the period high of this 9 period to use that 74,000, and you basically plus the period low, which is going to be right around this candle over here, which is going to be around like 25,000 or so, right? So you add these two, because that's the period high and period low, and then you divide by 2, and that's basically how you come up with this, Tenkan number right here, the red. Is next month going to change? It depends. I mean, if next month, if the candle is up, then you use that, it's going to drag the Tenkan up higher. But the problem is next month, basically, it doesn't take into that red candle account anymore. It's going to take into that account over here, right there. But that's not going to help you that much in terms of pushing the Tenkan up higher, because these two candles look about the same, right? It really depends on if we end up having some pretty impulsive price action. It might drag the Tenkan up higher. But I wouldn't count on just the passage of time that's just going to bring the Tenkan up. It really depends on what next one's going to do. So because of that, I still think we might be a little bit of an elevated risk for it to kind of go down further, to kind of get back down, maybe potentially even to the 52K range before its bullish continuation. I think that's certainly an entire possibility just based on this alone, right? But there are also a few things that are telling me that it doesn't have to. Again, I just showed you. One is if you look at the Tsubishi cloud, it found pretty decent support here at the Tsubishi Tenkan. Right? If you look at the Bollinger Band, it basically was serving as a magnet with upper Bollinger Band, just kind of pulling price back down closer to it. And this is actually still pretty high, healthy price action. So it doesn't have to. It could potentially just bounce from here based on a couple of things that I'm seeing, but there's no guarantee. If you want to dissect a little bit further, we can look a little bit deeper into the weekly chart. What I'm seeing here and what I did post was a couple of things. The weekly chart is showing a lot of these kind of divergences. There are hidden divergences that are very favorable for price to keep on going up. Although price can keep going down on bullish divergence and keep building more of a bullish energy moving forward, right? So what I mean by bullish divergences is this: you are going to have an indicator when price kind of goes up or down, and an indicator goes the other way. That's usually a divergence that you're seeing. So here, what I'm seeing here is the unbalanced volume. You're going to see some positive divergences over here when unbalanced volume actually is kind of going down, and the price actually going up, right? So you see this pattern over here, and this is what we consider to be like a hidden bullish divergence. And it's been building up over here. Guess what happened last time when it did that? Last time when it did that, price was kind of going sideways over here. Price kind of going up over here, right? And if you look at the actual unbalanced volume, it was going down, kind of like that, right? So you also had a hidden bullish divergence over here. Guess what happened with the hidden bullish divergence? When it worked out, it pushed price up a lot higher. And you can also see, some similar pattern, in the past here with RSI. I'm going to just go and pull the unbalanced volume off, and I'm going to pull the RSI up. You can see that a very similar pattern had happened before at RSI, right? Where price is just going up, but RSI is still actually cooling down, right? What's happening now is price is going up, And RSI actually was able to cool down all the way from like the 80s down to like the 60s, right? So price, RSI, hidden bullish divergence. You can see this in the past too. Like this is not just here, but you can see it, during some of the price action here in the past, where price is kind of going up over here, but RSI just kind of goes sideways over here. These are hidden bullish divergence. These allow price to go up a lot higher whenever it works out. Now, is this going to mean that price is going to bounce up from here and just going to keep going up? No, right? I mean, for example, let's say what happens if it goes down to like 52K, right? You're still going to end up having a pretty significant hidden bullish divergence here. It's just going to keep on building up, right? Yeah, so it's still going to be a hidden bullish divergence. I mean, granted, it's going to be a very, very strong hidden bullish divergence. And when it gets down to 52K, the risk-reward ratio is going to be very, very high, because of this, huge divergence that you're seeing here. But, the risk-reward ratio has to get that high for whales or for people to want to enter, for traders who want to enter. I don't know, right? I see that there's a scenario where price just can, kind of go sideways over here, and RSI continue to trend down. And that could also continue to build up this bullish divergence over here, right? So this doesn't tell you anything. All I can tell you is that, like, I don't think that the top is here. I think we're building up some bullish divergences that might keep on going for a long time. Or it could just end up working out, and next thing you know, we just bounce over here next week. There's no way for anybody to really tell. But I'm seeing some things here that are very encouraging. Now, if you look in the weekly, I'm going to get rid of the RSI over here and show you a little bit of a bigger picture. If you look at the weekly in terms of trying to figure out the Ichimoku cloud, I mean, it bounced from the Tenkan over here, which is pretty bull market behavior. The bull market, it's pretty much standard for price, just kind of bounce from the weekly Tenkan and just keep going up, right? It's just bounce from there. For regular bull market, it's kind of typical for a price just kind of bounce from Tenkan and just keep going up, right? Bull market behavior. Sometimes it end up testing the Kijun, right? Like not the last cycle, the cycle before that. Sometimes it end up testing the Kijun and found support and keep bouncing up, right? On the weekly. So far, we really, haven't had to do that. Can it go down, potentially go down to 52K over here on the weekly, Tenkan and bounce up? Sure, there's always that possibility, right? But I'm just not sure whether or not it has to do that. So that's why I'm telling you about a 30, 40, and 30 chance. 30% chance over the next few weeks, maybe up, 40% chance, maybe sideways, and 30% chance, maybe down. I can see all of those scenarios. With that said, I think I might spend a little bit too much time talking about Bitcoin. I'm just going to go straight to MSTR here. I'm going to go straight to the monthly chart. I'm going to tell you exactly what I see is happening, right? I'm going to tell you that the chart for Microstrategy looks very similar to Bitcoin, which is why I went through Bitcoin first. If you look at the Bollinger Band, all it did was price just kind of went way above, way outside upper Bollinger Band and kind of pulled back down, getting closer to it. And the upper Bollinger Band tends to serve as a magnet. Right now, the price is below the upper Bollinger Band, is around 1240. Is the upper Bollinger Band, but price is around 1170, right? Just a little bit kind of below it. But the trend is still very, very bullish. Like there's really not really any concern on the monthly in terms of exhaustion. It's still very, very bullish, right? And all it did is just wait way outside and had to back test it a little bit. And it only closed 2 candles above the upper Bollinger Band, twice. It's not like the last cycle where it's been, multiple candles above. And you don't have like a big parabolic, nasty inverted hammer look over here. But you just don't have that. So there's no like crazy exhaustion like it did on the last cycle. And simply price just kind of basically pulling back sideways, right? Again, 1240 is where the upper Bollinger Band is. That can potentially serve as a magnet moving forward. The other one is, if I pull up the Ichimoku cloud, price basically just have simply back tested the monthly Tenkan. This is bull market behavior. Back testing the monthly Tenkan is bull market behavior. So in terms of correction, like, do I think that it has to correct down further? Does it have to go all the way down to like 1,000 to kind of back test some of the other stuff down here? Maybe get back to like the Kijun and the blue line over here. Possible. I mean, it did that over here when I back tested the Kijun. Actually, it was a little bit of a bearish engulfing candle over here. Everybody was all freaking out, but next thing you know, you have something like that. So, the backtest has already, kind of happened. Looks like it's holding. The Tenkan currently right now is at 11.53 and price 11.74. It wicked down below a little bit. This is a monthly candle, so the month still hasn't closed yet. Could it go down further, backtest some of the stuff down here? Possible, right? But it doesn't have to, I guess is my point. Touch up a Bollinger Band, touch the Tenkan on the monthly. They're looking pretty good. Like, I would not be surprised if it just goes sideways for another month before going up to kind of cool down things a little bit more. I'm also not surprised if next thing you know, like next month's just going to keep on bouncing up higher. I would not be surprised by that at all. If you look at, again, the way they calculate the Tenkan, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the next month is not the price down here by the simple passage of time is not going to push the Tenkan up a lot higher, unless if the next month candle end up making another higher high over here, then you could potentially push the Tenkan up. I think right now price is close to the Tenkan. I think it has significantly de-risked all the way from like 2000 all the way down to 1174, pretty close to the Tenkan. Because of this de-risking, I think the risk-reward ratio is going to be a lot better, and it could potentially go down further. If Bitcoin goes down to like 52K, who knows? Maybe it will wick down below this area below 1,000, but I'm just not sure if it necessarily have to. If anything, actually, this MicroStrategy had actually corrected a little bit more than Bitcoin, because as I was saying, showing you Bitcoin was backtesting the Tenkan for the Super Ichi cloud. The Tenkan for Super Ichi cloud is already like broken underneath, for MicroStrategy. So I think that it's a little bit more decompressed and de-risked for MicroStrategy compared to where Bitcoin is. But again, this parabolic move over here was also making it very, very much a lot riskier than Bitcoin was when this couple candles happened, right? Simple back test, nothing bad. Could it go lower? Yes, but it doesn't have to, I guess is my point. If you look at some of the other things here, like you'd be curious whether or not the whales are in. I mean, they're still in, right? Just because they kind of slowed down buying here a little bit, like that doesn't really scare me. Like over here, they did the same thing, right? Like that doesn't really scare me at all. If anything, I think this is a much needed kind of candle, so that doesn't really stop me from, being bullish for this longer term. If you look at the weekly, try to find out some of the other levels over here. Let's put up the weekly Ichimoku cloud. You have a confluence of price backtesting the Tenkan on the monthly and also backtesting the Kijun here on the weekly, right? The Kijun here on the weekly is 1173, and we basically tested it, bounced from it, and we closed the week right above the Kijun, which again is bull market behavior. Like it's backtesting Kijun is no big deal. It happened last cycle, where it can potentially get closer to Kijun. This is not really a big deal for me on the weekly, but that also gives you an idea. Hey, this price potentially could it go down further, go down beneath the Kijun? Sure, right? But it doesn't have to. I think the correction has happened enough that I would not be surprised if it continued to bounce up here, but it could go down further. The other couple of things to look at too. Let's look at the weekly moving averages. I mean, this is still a very, very strong bull trend, right? 20-week moving average about 50-week moving average about 100, all three pointing up. And this just really started happening since a little over half a year ago. Okay? So I still see a lot of kind of positive development in terms of this over longer term. And again, you still have increasing buy volume and declining sell volume. Granted, the sell volume over last week is a little bit high, and you have a pretty nasty red candle over here. But overall, buy volume is up and sell volume is down. So this is still a pretty decent setup moving forward, with significant de-risking that's happening right now. This price had to go all the way down to like 900, 950. Next week's going to keep moving up. It's probably going to move up to like 1,000. I can see it potentially back testing the 20-week moving average and going up. Just like, basically the bull run support band includes the 20-week moving average in the red. I can see it back testing the bull run support band maybe around 1,000 as it continues to go up higher before going up higher. I can see that. It could potentially be even more de-risking, and it could potentially serve as an even better risk-reward ratio. It back tested over here, Why not now? Before pushing up higher. Does it have to do that? No, because over here on the last cycle, it did not really backtest the bull run support band here for like, really talking about like for more than half a year, right? So does it have to do that? No, right? But the 20-week moving average is pointing up, and these are quickly going to serve as potential support to kind of help push price up higher whenever this correction ends up happening. Do I think Bitcoin cycle is top? No. Do I think my strategy is going to end up, just ending here? Probably not. That's going to be my guess. Again, 30% probably going to end up bouncing up from here. 40% going sideways, allowing some of these technical indicators going to catch up to push price up higher. And another 30% for it to just kind of completely crash and burn going down further. I think less than 5% chance of this being the top MicroStrategy at 2000. Those are my thoughts. Coinbase. A very, very similar look to it, doesn't it? Coinbase is a little bit interesting in the sense that it still hasn't quite yet made its way back to all-time high, which is right around the time when it had IPO'd back in April 2021. What it ended up doing was it's just been making all, higher highs and higher lows really since December 2022, since January 2023, just making higher highs and higher lows. It's been trying to find a higher low right now. This candle right now so far is an inside candle, and inside candle, just like this inside candle over here, generally favors bullish continuation, generally favors the continuation of the primary trend, right? Just like these inside candles over here. When it's very possible you might end up having another inside candle over around here for the month of May before going up further. I think that might actually be a favorite scenario for me. But would I be surprised if price just kind of found support down here and push up higher? I'm not surprised by that. Price did get a little bit too far above the monthly Tenkan line or the regular Ichimoku cloud analysis. But if you pull up the Super Ichi cloud, this is the Tenkan here in blue. It did look like it's just trying to get really close to that Tenkan line over here and flip it from resistance as support. So do I think that we have a good chance where we could just bounce from here? Possible, 30%. Do I think it's starting to maybe even going sideways a little bit longer before going up? 40%. Do I think this is going to end up breaking down from the Super Ichi and go down and test the Ichimoku cloud down further in the 170s or 180s? About 30% chance. Right. You have to be fair. I mean, honestly, because this looks like a breakout about this level over here. It could potentially just kind of backtest it before its bullish continuation, find a higher low before it goes up again. Right. It's not outside the imagination for that to happen. But so far, buy volume going up, sell volume down, buy volume up, sell volume down, buy volume up, sell volume so far is not very, very impressive, right? So I can see all three scenarios, and this is one of those times I just kind of have to be fair about it. But certainly looks like it's been significantly de-risked. When I was posting about how price is up here, I was like, I don't know, guys. I don't think the price is good. There's a volume show over here. There's a lot of price history over here. I don't think it's going to break above like this 280 zone on the first try. I think it's probably going to end up going sideways for like 1 to 2 months. Is what I said in my previous videos, and this is exactly what it's doing right now. Can it go down further? Yes. But I see my favorite scenario where it might end up going sideways for another month before pushing up further. It doesn't have to though. Like none of this has to do what I wanted to do. But this is a pretty significant price history over here, so I suspect that it might end up doing that. But again, stocks have a mind of their own. They don't have to listen to me. If you look at a weekly, if you pull up the moving averages, 20 is also kind of pushing up, right? So could it potentially backtest some of the zone in the 180? And kind of just back testing this breakout over here as support before its bullish continuation. That's always a possibility. Does it have to do that? No, it's but it's just a thought. If you put up the Ichimoku cloud, the regular Ichimoku cloud, Tenkan is pointing up very, very drastically. So this is probably going to potentially even keep on going up even higher. The price could end up dropping below even lower. Regardless though, because the Tenkan is up higher, it might eventually serve as a magnet to drag price up higher too after you end up having some cooling down here. Now this is the Kijun. Kijun, instead of like being a 9 moving average, period moving average, the Kijun is actually a 26 moving average or period moving average. So because of that, I think the Kijun is also going to continue to go up over time. And Kijun right now is at the 170s. Can price go back down to the Kijun back test like it did over here before going up? Certainly possible. I think that might be like the worst case scenario, to be honest. I think the worst case scenario is price go down to 170 or 180 to back test it before going higher. But there's also a scenario where people are waiting and saying that it has to happen, and it doesn't happen, and price just kind of went sideways up here for another few weeks, and it just goes up, right? So it's all about probability. I'm not here to tell you what will happen. What does concern me a little bit is that this candle over here is a little bit higher volume selling. So there's a possibility where you might end up having a little bit more, bearish continuation over the next few weeks for it to get down to like the 180 range before going up. But it doesn't have to do that. It doesn't have to do anything I tell it to do. I'm just here to kind of, observe and tell you what I think about the probability. The good thing, I like to play around with this new tool that I'm like playing around with. Like if you like, most people are in profit right now if you buy Coinbase at the bottom. Most people don't end up buying Coinbase at the bottom because they're scared. Most people didn't end up buying over here because the SEC was having legal lawsuits against them, right? So let's say you bought over here, you'd be way above profit, right? But that's not where most people buy. Most people bought probably when price is like up here, right? But even if you bought up here, you would have been in profit. So what about if you bought like this top right here? You would still be in profit. But you can see the problem now, right? The price could potentially backtest some of this level down here because there are a lot of people that are in profit. They're seeing price going down. They might as well say, oh, I'm still in a little bit of profit. I might as well just take some profit. So it might end up dropping down further. That's the problem when price gets way too far up from the AVOP, from the average price, volume weighted average price, if you will. If you bought it from this low right here, you might start to feel a little bit of pain over here. If you bought here and you bought all the way through, from that point on, you might start to feel a little bit more pain. A lot of people that are buying over here is probably getting trapped over here so far. But so far, this is still a very, very, very bullish kind of appearance to it. Anyway, I want to show you, I'm just going to pull up some of the other unbalanced volume. I'm not seeing any, I'm not really seeing any like obvious divergence, although I did see some kind of like Bitcoin where you are seeing some, bullish divergence over here on the unbalanced volume where price just kind of went down and unbalanced volume just kind of went up. So you do have a little bit of divergence that they're building up here, which is also part of the reason why I don't think price necessarily has to go down to like 170, 180. But that would be my 3 scenario. Can it go down further than 170? The answer is yes. What percentage would I put that? Probably less than 10%. Anyway, thank you for listening. It's been over half an hour. Video getting a little long. I'll do timestamps. Have a good one. Bye.